Peace. Someone asked me to do a video around a meme that I posted, and on the meme it read, I owe myself an apology for being in places I knew I was not respected, wanted, valued, appreciated, or loved, but I stayed because of our history. I owe myself an apology for putting people who never appreciated me before myself. The long list of things that come to mind. The first thing, I don't know where you're watching this video, but many of you, if you're watching it at home, you probably just came from a job that you hate or that you don't enjoy as much as you first got it, or it's not the type of job that you thought you would be in. They don't pay you enough. They don't appreciate the work that you do. Any ideas that you bring to the table are not appreciated. Anything that looks like it's going to move the company forward that you add is not looked at in any way of value. Nobody wants to do anything that seems to solve any problem, but a lot of people have a lot of meetings about a lot of things, and you are there because you have seniority or tenure or some sort, you're vested in your pension or something like that. Yeah, we've all done that. I did it for quite a while. Jobs, organizations, but most of us are one of the things that comes to mind quickest for most of us are relationships. The relationships that we had in the past, where we now know, because hindsight is 20/20, and you look back and you go, you know what? That person didn't appreciate me, they didn't value me, they didn't respect me, and sometimes they didn't even want me. It was probably something that you provided for them. I know I've been in that situation on more than one occasion. And I don't know, sometimes I think with men, relationships just become transactional. Well, not just with men. I think that's with women as well. I don't have as much experience in that area, but we, in our society now, we tend to treat relationships very transactionally. So you provide something and somebody provides something for you and it becomes mutually beneficial. Where's your relating in your relationship? Where's the respect? What is it that they like about you? What do they love about you? What do you add to them? We oftentimes have the notion that somebody that we are in a relationship with is supposed to provide some sort of security or love or happiness. And we've been taught a really backward way of relating with people. I've come to understand, and maybe this is just for me, that those are not things that you expect from anyone. Those are things that you bring to the table. You bring love, you bring respect, you bring faithfulness, you bring loyalty, you bring all those things to the table. That person is supposed to match it or bring it higher. That's what I've come to understand. I don't know how you all relate, but that is the way that I've come to understand is the best way for me to relate to somebody. I have to bring it, because when I bring it and they are at least matching it, I don't feel like there's no reciprocity. The reciprocity, the giving back and forth. I give, you give, and we match each other's energy. That is where many of us would like to be in, and many of us aren't. We are stuck in relationships that we have been in for a while, and we go, oh, well, I've been there all this time. And so you stay because of the history of the relationship. Just like with the job, you have seniority, you have tenure, you're vested, whatever the situation is. There are incentives, mental incentives, that you think the benefits of staying outweigh the benefits of leaving, when the benefit of leaving could be so much greater. It could actually be what you're looking for, but many of us are afraid to let go. We don't have the faith that the thing that we actually yearn for will come. So we settle. We settle for the job. We settle for the relationship. We settle for mediocrity. And there's a saying I heard a while ago, and I forget where I heard it now. And it is the pursuit of mediocrity is unnecessary, because there's so much mediocrity in the world. You don't have to pursue more mediocrity. Pursue greatness. And if you fail, at least you've pursued greatness and not mediocrity. You've learned what it takes to pursue greatness. Even if you didn't achieve what you thought was greatness, you have put yourself on that path. You've put yourself in that energy, that vibration, whatever it is you want to call it. You put yourself there as opposed to the settling energy of history. That is our problem. A problem that I find in society that bugs the hell out of me is how much we rely on history. And I know that history is the way, is the foundation for us moving forward. That I get. What I don't get is our absence of evaluation of history when it comes time to look at how history is affecting us today. Because everything that we have, that we use from history, things like the Constitution and laws and things from the 17 and 1800s, those type of things should have been revisited. Many of them. We know which ones don't need to be, but there are a lot of them that do need to be. But because it's history, nobody wants to touch it. We have this precedent. We have to stay with the precedent. Whatever was said before is what we're going to say now. We're going to reinterpret it. Why? We need to reevaluate all of it and see if it's even worth keeping. And we don't. We rely on history to be the foundation from which we move forward, not understanding that history couldn't possibly understand all of the challenges that we are facing today. But they keep us so busy that we don't pay attention to that very much. We really do not pay attention to the fact that there are many laws that keep people oppressed. We know that. I don't need to go into that. But we haven't asked our government, the people that we vote for, the people who create these situations for us, we haven't asked them for any type of evaluation. We let them sit up there and argue amongst themselves a lot. And the decisions that they make affect us. And we do not hold them responsible in the ways that we need to. I posted something today. There was my favorite place, TikTok. There was a TikTok, and I never thought I would be a TikTok person. For the first year or two that it came out, I resisted it. I'm like, that. And then one day somebody sent me a video, and I don't recall what it was, and ever since then I've been hooked. But I was watching a TikTok video, and I posted it to my Facebook page, and it was talking about revolution. And the person in the video says that no group of people in history have ever won their liberty or their freedom without bloodshed. And I don't know how many podcasts I've done where I've said this over and over and over and over again. We are not ready to shed blood. We are attached to the history that was provided for us of being subservient. We were taught to be docile. And what's interesting is we don't even see the paradoxes that they present to us. We see them. I don't know if it's we don't know what to do about them to change the narrative. Yes, I do. I know exactly what it is. We do not control communication in the way that we should. I'm moving far away from the topic, so I'm going to try and circle back. So apologies that I owe myself of being in places where I knew I was not respected. For me personally, because I can only talk about things that have happened to me. I'm a former drug addict. So I was in many places where there was no such thing as respect. There was no such thing as value. The only value was how much money, did you have enough money to pay for what it was you were trying to get? That was really about it. That was the extent of the respect that you were extended. That was the value of it. And having come up through that myself, putting myself through that, because I have to take responsibility for it, obviously, but putting myself through that and not knowing my own value. After that, trying to be in relationships with people who themselves had either a drug problem, or either active drug problem or a former drug problem, and not knowing how to relate as people to one another, to communicate well. Because that's not something that we learn growing up, particularly. And I have to say, it's slightly, just a little bit. Communication is communication. It's not just the communication; it's the understanding of the other person. How much energy are you putting into understanding what the other person is trying to say? How much energy are they putting into understanding what you were trying to say, so that your communication is effective? Because it's not just me saying what I have to say and you saying what you have to say. You have to understand what I'm trying to say, because otherwise we're not communicating at all. That's not actual communication. Understanding is the root of communication. And the relationships that I've had in the past show me, obviously, that I wasn't valued, I wasn't respected. There were so many times I wasn't wanted. It was what I could provide for the other person that had them there. I even had one person tell me, that's all you'll ever be, is somebody to provide for somebody else, type of thing. And that can get into your head. That's an insidious thing that I learned. There's a movie, if you haven't seen this movie, it's called Inception. If you have not seen that movie, see that movie. Because it talks about, what it shows you is the ways that ideas, even a small idea, you can plant a small idea in somebody's head and it can wreck their whole life. And many of us have had ideas planted in our heads over and over and over again. And that is how it becomes part of our nature. It becomes part of our subconscious. Prince has a song called The Joy of Repetition. If you haven't heard it, go to YouTube or Spotify or wherever it is you listen to music and check that out. Because it tells you that is how you put something into somebody. That is how you get into the subconscious of something. You repeat it over and over and over. And the things that we see in society over and over and over, which is why I'm careful when it comes to social media. I'm careful what it is that I allow to come down my newsfeed. There are certain things, when I see them too repetitively, I start taking them off. I don't want to see that again and again and again, because I don't want to be desensitized to certain things. I don't want to have certain information planted in my head over and over and over again, even without me knowing it, just watching it again and again and again. So I say all that to say that there comes a time when you have to take responsibility for your own programming. So if you find yourself in a job that you don't want to be, it's not the job that you ever wanted to work at. It was the job that provided for you and your family for whatever amount of time, but you feel like you want to be somewhere else. It is your responsibility. If you are in a relationship, and this is friendships too. I have been in friendships where I have not been respected. I have not been valued. I have not been even wanted. Friendships, not wanted. And it came a point where I had to say to myself, look, I don't even want this person as a friend. I'm not going to keep you around because of our history. And that was what it was. It was our history binding us together for decades. For decades. And that type of energy in your space for too long begins to erode at your energy. It begins to eat away at you. So I had to let go. And I think there are some people who have let go of me. If my energy is not conducive to the way that you are living, if it is not providing you with a feeling of well-being, you have the right to let me go. You actually have the responsibility to let me go. I understand that everybody is not going to grow in the same direction. We're not. And that's something that we are taught that is against the grain. And any of the videos that I do from now on, I'm gonna try and talk about these paradoxes in society, because we're taught stupid things. If you look at these things like closely, if you just look at them for what they actually are, they're very stupid. We're taught that we're supposed to get somebody and make them commit, or have them find a way to get them to commit to us. It's really a manipulation. We're supposed to find a way to get them to commit to us for the rest of their lives. I don't understand what sense that makes. I don't think marriage should be forever. I think when you get together, you should actually set the I used to say it was 7 years. I used to say marriages should be for 7 years and then you renew. Now I actually think that if you actually want to get married, for whatever reason you have, I think you should be able to set the terms. 5 to 10 years or 7 years or 8 years, however many years you think you want to deal with this. And after that, you can renew. The reason being is because there are over 8 billion people on this planet. Why would you try to find one human being and straddle them to you for the rest of your life? You don't know if that person's aspirations are going to be the same as yours. You don't know if their dreams are going to be conducive to the way that you want to go in life. You don't know any of that. You can hope that it'll be true, but you don't know any of that. You don't know if they're going to have a incident in their life that dramatically changes the way that they view the world, and they no longer want to be the person that they agreed to be at the beginning of the relationship. You don't know. So I think we should relax the way that we view relationships and relate to people for as much as you can, as long as you can, with as much love and, passion as you can, for as long as you can. And then let the shit go. If y'all find that you're growing in this direction and the other person is going in the opposite direction, you should be able to let go with grace. If you think that, oh, well, there are benefits to marriage, okay, well, the benefits, you could get married, but you should have agreements. Just have an agreement, a palimony agreement at the beginning. You don't have to get married. Buy a house together. And at the end, if you decide that you don't want to be with one another, sell the fucking house. And then you got some money from it. At least you feel a little better. But we have this idea that we're supposed to... Now, don't get me wrong. If you find somebody and you two decide and work together and become best friends in this situation and find a way, decade after decade, through children, grandchildren, and everything, to continue to love one another, that is wonderful. But I don't think that is an idea or anything that we should strive toward. I think that's weird. I think it's completely weird that you have, because you're not going to like your husband, your wife, whomever. You're not going to like them all the time. You're not going to love them every day. And sometimes that day turns into 2. And those 2 turn into a week. And that week can turn into months. And those months into years of not loving somebody that you are now legally bound to for some reason. And afraid to get out of for some other reason, because of the history. Because we've been together for so many years. What sense does it make to leave because you're not happy? Because they know you no longer possess the ability to be happy in their company. How about that? When you two are together, both of your energies shrink. Because you can't stand one another anymore. Because both of you feel like you're a hostage to the other person. And we think that's normal. We think that that's something to strive toward in this society. It's weird. We have to let go of these paradoxes that it is wrong to let go of somebody because of the history that you have together. It is okay to let go of anybody who does not add to your comfort, security, and happiness. It is okay to let go of anybody that is not adding to your comfort, security, and happiness. I don't feel like it is a valid statement, even when it comes to your relationship. If I don't feel like it anymore, is it? Then that is what the fuck it is. You don't have to feel like it. Why would you get up? Why would you get up day after day trying to make yourself feel like loving somebody whom you don't love? Why? When there are plenty of other people out here who are looking for love, who are trying, and the thing is, we keep thinking that we have to find the one. We're caught up in finding the one, not realizing there might be 17. Might be 4. There might not be just one, which is why you feel discontent in this relationship that you've been in for so long. Everybody ain't the one. There are people who you might have a bunch of other people, and I'm not saying that you should try them all at the same time. That's not what I'm suggesting, unless that's what you all agree upon as adults. If that is what you agree upon as adults, so be it, as long as it's not affecting other people. We keep coloring outside the lines. When I say affecting other people, that is what I mean when I say coloring outside the lines. When your relationship begins to infringe on the children that you have brought here to the point that the children can't function. We're not going to get into that. We're talking about the value, not being valued and appreciated. That is why you find yourself not valued. You don't appreciate and value yourself enough to get out of the relationship. That's where it all begins. Until that happens, you have to value you enough to say, look, I can't. I don't want to anymore. I don't feel like it. Nobody else is going to. Just like nobody will give. When we as a people, and I mean people of color, come to understand that nobody's going to put in the United States specifically, we have to understand that nobody's going to give us liberty. Nobody's going to give us liberty. We have to take it. Until we're ready to take it, we have to take what they give us. So that being said, it's the same with until you value yourself enough to say, this is all I can stand. Better is out there for me. I know that it is, and I'm going to go and experience it. Get there. I don't know how you get there. I don't care how, in the words of Oleta Adams, I don't care how you get there. But get there if you can. I don't care how you get there, but get there. Your happiness depends on it. And for people who do have children, please understand, as a side note, let me just say, there's nothing that you can do that's not going to affect your children. Every mood you have affects your children. Your children feel your mood. Just like you felt your parents' mood. When your dad came home and he was in a foul mood and your mama was scared, you felt her fear and you felt his anger. So you can't tell me that your children, for some reason, are exempt from feeling all the feelings that you bring into the home. So please keep that in mind as you try these relationships, as you travel throughout them. And the thing is, educate your children on what relationships are. It is not taking a hostage for the rest of your life. It is the mutual respect between people, and sometimes that respect runs out for a variety of reasons, and it is nothing that you need to stay stuck in. It is nothing that you need to analyze extensively, because it is what it is. Once the respect, once the love, once the appreciation, once all of that is gone, the relationship should dissipate. There's nothing more to do except for you to go out and be who it is that you need to be to bring the people in your life that are supposed to come. Two things. We don't trust, and because we're very fearful. Fear runs our lives, which is why we think we need to be straddled to somebody for the rest of our lives, because we're afraid. We're afraid of so many things that we've been taught to be afraid of. We're afraid, the first thing is dying alone. We think that that is like one of the worst things that could ever happen. Unless you're a person who lives a very, very peaceful life and you pass peacefully by yourself and that was the way that you wanted to go. See, most of us think that at the end of our lives, and this is something that we keep in the back of our head because it's programmed into us, that we are going to die with some illness that is going to be debilitating and we need somebody there to shoulder the burden of helping to care for us. That is an idea that many people have in the back of their heads because it's put in our heads. You get diabetes, you get gout, you get high blood pressure, you get all these things. And now your body begins to break down and you want there to be somebody to take care of you, to lend you aid at the end of that life, as opposed to them teaching us from the beginning to just lead a healthier life. See how the shift is off? You see how it's just a little, how we just can't seem to focus it right in the middle, right? We just can't seem to focus it on the truth in the middle. Why do they have us looking over here when we should be looking over here? Why put the idea in our heads that we need to be straddled to one person for our entire life? And that idea is so pervasive. I know there are some people who are finding this offensive or abrasive right now because the idea is so inundated in your psyche that you can't think of anything else. You can't think of any other way of living. You think that it's lonely to be by yourself. I find the most peace when I am alone. I have been sitting in my car in this park for 3-4 hours now for no reason. I usually come here to work out. It's raining, so I can't. I went around the track. It started raining. Got in the car. It's a little cold, a little chilly. I'm not going to be outside trying to, catch anything. So I got back in the car. But I am so at peace right here by myself right now. Like I don't even want to go. I just want to sit here. Which is why I was able to do this video, because I said, look, I'm not going to leave because I just want to sit here by myself. I don't want to have a conversation with anybody. I was talking to a friend of mine for about an hour while I was sitting here earlier, and I was waiting for her to get off the phone. I love her to death, but I wanted to just sit here by myself. There was a day last week where I love stuff like this because it happens every now and then. I get a day where I haven't spoken a word out loud. Have you had one of those recently? A day where you have not had to use your voice to say anything to anyone. Do you know the peace that comes with that? You don't have to raise your voice to a child. You don't have to talk to a coworker. You don't have to answer your boss. It is peace when you know yourself, when you understand yourself, when you're okay with yourself, when you sat by yourself enough to get rid of the garbage that has been implanted in your head, when you sat by yourself enough to understand it is okay to sit by yourself. An idea came to me the other day about marriage or relationships, and it involved, there are many societies, including ours, where it is common. It's the idea in our society, but not necessarily the practice, that women leave from their parents' home and go to their husband's home, or they leave from their parents' home, and they maybe get pregnant, have a kid. And that is a lost opportunity that they have for getting to know themselves, going from one familial home to another familial home. That is an opportunity that so many women in our society miss for getting to know themselves, because now you have another 20 probably years with a kid, at least in today's society, of having to rear that child. They don't leave at 18 right now. Everything costs too much. They're not leaving at 18. Now you have 20 plus years of rearing that child where you don't get to be alone, where you don't get to be by yourself, where you don't get to know you, just you, without having the lens of somebody else placed on you. That is a different way to live your life. And many of us don't get the opportunity to do that. We go from our parents' home to a home where we either have kids or a husband, marriage or something like that. Husband, wife is what I meant to say. So many of us don't get an opportunity to go here. We don't. Some of us, there's a group of people who get regular group therapy. I love them. But even that doesn't give you space alone. And I encourage anybody to get space alone. By yourself. Know yourself. Trust yourself. You have to live with you every day. You better be able to trust you in any situation. I am not a drinker. If I walk into a bar, I need to be able to trust myself not to drink in a place that's not even a bar, but if it's a place that has alcohol in it. I need to be able to trust me that I am not going to go to the bar and order a pina colada or something. That's trust that I have to have with me. Because there's not always going to be somebody by my side. So I need to develop that. And many of us don't get the opportunity. There's always someone there. There are a couple of friends of mine who had kids young. And their kids, like particularly if it's like one kid or maybe like their oldest kid or whatever, they have developed these wonderful, in a sense, friendships with these kids, with their children, because they had their kids so young that they were still growing up while they, really formatively growing up is what I mean. While they were when they became parents, but there's very little space in the relationships. The kids don't have the space to be themselves because they think they need to be their parents' friend. Well, this is the first time I said that out loud. I hope some of my friends don't feel offended. And this is my observation. So I could be wrong. So please let me say that. But it doesn't seem like these kids have the space to go out into the world. They don't feel safe in the world. Now, a couple of them have had some episodes that lend to it not being just the parent. Still, there's still an instance there's still a portion of that equation where I think it was stress, maybe, that the kids felt. Not that the parents placed it on them, but that they just felt naturally because their parents had a different type of stress growing up than other parents have, maybe, because they had them young. So I'm beginning to go off, to pull this all together, put a bow on it, get with you. There's no relationship that you're going to have that is going to be as rewarding as the relationship that you have with you. I promise you. I promise you. I hope that your spiritual relationships are doing well. Yeah, I'm going to leave that right there. I hope that your spiritual relationships are doing well and that you are looking for more answers than were given to you. Always look for more than what was given to you, because there's always more there. So with that, I'm going to just say, if you're in a job where you're not being valued, where you're not respected, there are other jobs out there. If you are in a relationship, an intimate relationship, where you are not being valued and respected, there are other people out there. If you are in a friendship where your friends are not valuing and respecting you, there are other people out there who will be your friend. I once had a woman walk up to me I was at work, and the job that I had, I was sent out of the office to other, what we call like our satellite offices, different agencies that we contracted with. So I was placed at one of these agencies, and there was a woman who worked there, and she was an older woman. She was my mom's age, but she was a sharp dresser. She was cool, nice. And this woman came to me one day. She said, excuse me. Excuse me. She came to me one day and she sat down next to me and she said, you gonna be my friend. And I looked at her, I was like, wait. She's like, yeah, I see you. You come in here, you say good morning, and then you come over here to yourself. You sit at your computer, you over here all day. And you don't talk to nobody, you don't say nothing to nobody, and I'm checking your vibe. And I can tell that you are a chill person, and you are going to be my friend. I know you ain't looking for no friends. I don't care. And I was like, what? Like, that had never happened to me before. It was absolutely mind-blowing. And I was like, people do that? People walk up and just commandeer friendship? That was one of the coolest women I have ever met. May she rest, or wherever she is on her journey, I wish her love. Wherever she is on her journey, I wish her love. She was the bomb. When I tell you she was the bomb, she was amazing. Amazing woman. I miss her dearly. But her spirit is in me. So she taught me that no matter what is going on, no matter what it looks like, your energy will bring to you exactly who you need when you need it. Each and every time, but you have to trust that. If you don't trust it, it won't happen, because there's always going to be a part of you fighting it. There's always going to be a part of you doubting it. There's always going to be a part of you that's negating it, a part of you that's making it less, until you trust it. Because I'll prove it to you real quick, and then I'm going to get out of here. All the bad things that you say happen in your life, you trust that they're going to happen, and they happen. You looking back right about now going, yeah. The bad things that you thought were going to happen, you kept saying, yup, I know it was going to happen, because you trusted that it was going to happen. So why don't you trust in some good shit? That's all. Peace, everybody. It's Uncle D, the Devious Griot. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please feel free to comment. Please like the video. Subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on other social media, on Instagram at Devious Griot with a T at the end, Griot. Devious Imad, IMAAD on Facebook. So I'll be looking for you.